I want to welcome each and every one of you here today. We're so excited to have Harlingen South here to do their mock trial presentation. I was once a nurse. I was in criminal justice also, but I went to Pace High School in Jacksonville. But my husband did graduate from Harlingen South, and he is also an attorney. So we do have a lot of alumni here in Harlingen that do practice. They all came back to Cameron County to go ahead and serve here as attorneys. I've been an attorney for 21 years now, and I've been here for 3 years and a judge in total for 10 years. So we're really happy to have you here. I was really excited when your teacher, Mr. Reyes, came and asked. And I want to thank also Chief Alviat because he was really the one who put this together so y'all can come here. Y'all are more than welcome to use this courtroom whenever you want. This is your courtroom, right? It's Harlingen Municipal Court. So this is where you all should come as Harlingen residents and see the court. We have docket every day. We work Monday through Sunday here. We have 4 associate judges who work weekends here. And the cases we handle, you think, oh, traffic tickets. It goes beyond that. We do magistrations for felony and misdemeanor cases. We also do our code enforcement docket. We do our animal control docket. And we have our youth diversion docket, which is something that the public isn't really aware of. But if you do have a crime between the ages of 10 and 16, you're able to go ahead and file it here. It would be a Class C misdemeanor other than traffic offenses. And you can get that case without a case number and automatically expunged from your record once you're 18. So that's a new program that we do have. It's called the Harlingen Municipal Court Diversion Program. And if anybody's interested in more information or any of the administrators, we're more than welcome to go in and talk about that as well. All right? So thank you so much. Good luck. Okay? And if you don't win, guess what? It just makes you a stronger litigator. Okay? Because you're not always going to win every case. We'll say that right now. Okay? But it just makes you stronger and you know what to do the next time. All right? Good luck.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. First off, I want to thank God. I want to thank everybody, the parents, for being here today. Those of you, I know some of you might have taken time off from work or whatever duty that you have to do other than being here, but we really appreciate you, and your kids appreciate you being here as well. Thank you so much to Judge Noemi and Chief, who also helped me get this event together. I know my students have been looking forward to this day for a long time. It's actually since the beginning of the year, because I didn't mention this, since the beginning of the year, and some of them have been really working hard to make it to this point, because each individual that you're about to see perform has given me their best since day one, because they wanted to be here for this court case. So I appreciate them, and I appreciate the hard work that they do. I'm sure some of you parents have seen the hard work that they probably put down at home, practicing in front of a mirror. I know some of them will even message me or email me at 11 at night, like, "Sir, is this okay?" I'm like, "Go to sleep." But that just showing that they're dedicated. That's another thing that helped me choose, because we have roughly about 18, 19 students that are involved, but I did have 46 that volunteered for this case, and these were the top students. So what you're going to see is their hard work and dedication. So I also want to thank our jury members. We have a celebrity jury. So starting with Judge Noemi Garcia Martinez, this is her. She's the presiding judge here at this courtroom. She just introduced herself. And then we have, of course, Dr. Cortan. He's here for the superintendent for Very, very blessed to have her. And we also have Dr. Gina Gano Morial, also here. She's also actually Dr. Cortan and Dr. Gina Morial were at our first actual mock trial at the other courthouse, and they were here, as well as we also have Nikki Daniel, law enforcement officer Nikki Daniel. She was also my former partner and former law enforcement instructor at Harlingen South. Nikki Daniel was actually, I think she probably had, raise your hand if you were one of the Daniel students as well. There you go. But you actually learned from me though, right?
Just tell everyone who was the better teacher.
We've got a conflict, sir.
You want to take her seat? And that's how it was. It was super fun working with Nikki. She's the kids love her. But yeah, so thank you so much for being here. So we're blessed to have her here. So And then we have Ms. Nelda Alonso. She's the head of the department, of the CT department, which is all the extracurricular, like what we have criminal justice. She's also in charge of all the other programs like welding, construction, all that extra thing where we get certifications. Our students are certified. Okay, she's a lady, as well as Ms. Olivia, she's also here. They are everywhere. You know, they're a big part of the success of our students because, like, I know Ms. Rodriguez comes. I know she's a very busy lady, but I'll give her a call. Like, ma'am, can you please come because I need to get this kid certified. Sure, I'll figure it out. I'll be there. And she's there, and she's very helpful. Ms. Alonso, anytime I have questions, boom, she emailed me right away. Boom, like, yes, sure, this is what you got to do. So they make our job easier. So thank you so much. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you very much. And last but not least, we have Chief Aliad here, Alfredo Aliad from the Harlingen Police Department. And again, like I said, he did help. I just reached out to him one time. Within the same day, minutes, he responded, yes, sure, whatever you need, let me know, I'll get with the judge and we'll make it happen. Didn't hesitate. He did speak to, you guys spoke to him in the summer and he did offer, as well as the judge, without hesitation, like, hey, anytime, just like Judge said, whenever time you leave the courtroom, this is your courtroom. So I really took it to heart and I appreciate it. And I hope that you all know that you all have, these are the leaders of Harlingen and they're here to watch you all. They took time out of their busy day to come see you all. So give them your best, guys. You guys know this, you guys got this, and I'm proud of each and every one of you, okay? Also, I want to thank the MACA. We also have all these photographers and the film crew, they're also students from Harlingen. So I want to thank them and for taking their time and providing their skills and their kind of skill. Hopefully, we get a good movie out of this. But yeah, thank you very much. So we're gonna get started in a couple minutes. We're gonna, the jury's gonna exit, and then we're gonna get started. Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All rise. The City of Harlingen Municipal Court Criminal Division is now in session. The Honorable Judge Desiree Keith now presiding.
Please remain standing for the jury. Everyone but the jury may be seated. Bailiff Diaz, please swear in the jury.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to render a true verdict and a fair sentence to this defendant?
We do.
You may be seated.
Thank you.
Members of the jury, your duty today will be to determine whether the defendant is guilty or not guilty based on only facts and evidence provided in this case. The prosecution must prove that a crime was committed and that the defendant is the person who committed the crime. However, if you are not satisfied by the defendant's guilt to that extent, then reasonable doubt exists and the defendant must be found not guilty. Bailiff Canales, what is today's case?
Your Honor, today's case is the State of Florida versus Casey Anthony for murder of the first degree, aggravated child abuse, aggravated manslaughter, and 4 counts of providing false information to law enforcement.
Very well. Is the prosecution ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is the defense ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Prosecution, you may begin with your opening statement.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. My name is Jocelyn Cruz, and I'm here with Alvin Edwards and Jada Benavides. And today we will hear the tragic story of 2-year-old Kaylee Marie Anthony, whose life was cut short. Not by accident, but by the selfishness of the one person responsible for protecting her. Kaylee's mother, Casey Anthony, is a selfish, pathological liar who only cares about herself. For 31 long days, Casey Anthony failed to report her daughter as missing. Not once did she call 911 or tell her closest family or friends that something was wrong. Instead, for those 31 days, Casey Anthony attended various bars, house parties, and clubs. She got a tattoo with the words Bella Vita, which means beautiful life in Italian. This kind of behavior isn't normal or excusable for someone who just lost their daughter. You'll learn that on July 15, 2008, Cindy Anthony, Casey's mother and Kaylee's grandmother, made the 911 call where she stated that Casey's car smelled like a dead body had been in it, and forensic experts had backed up this shocking claim. When Casey spoke with the 911 dispatcher, she claimed she was going through other sources to try and find Kaylee. Now, I'm not sure if any of you all have children, but think for a second. Would you go through other sources to try and find your missing child for 31 days before calling 911 or letting your closest family or friends know? You'll also learn that duct tape adhesion was found on little Kaylee's skull, which experts concluded was a result of restraint and suffocation. No other theory that the defense creates can explain why duct tape would be needed unless this was an intended murder. And who was the only person who would benefit from getting rid of Kaylee? Casey is. On top of all this, you'll learn how Casey repeatedly lied to law enforcement, creating elaborate stories about a babysitter that never even existed. When authorities and her friends and family asked Casey where Kaylee was, she claimed that she was with a nanny named Zenaida, or Zanny. She then later admitted that Zanny wasn't even real. No mother, no matter how distraught or hurt, stalls the investigation of her missing daughter by lying about where she is. Neither does she get a tattoo that means beautiful life. The case we will present to you today is built on facts and evidence. You will hear from experts and close family and friends of Casey Anthony, and you will hear how there was no sign of panic or remorse for Miss Casey, because she wanted to party, hang out with her ex-boyfriend, and live a carefree life, free of responsibility and free of Kaylee. We all understand that our judicial system teaches us a clear right from wrong. Throughout this case, keep in mind what is right and what's wrong in the eyes of the law. Keep in mind that we're here to examine Miss Casey Anthony's actions and determine whether she is guilty for the murder of Kaylee. Please don't get distracted by wild theories or meaningless arguments that the defense will present to you. Keep your mind on the victim of this case at all times, Kaylee Anthony. Kaylee didn't get to grow up, go to school, or celebrate another birthday. She didn't matter to her own mother, and that's the heartbreaking truth. Let you all, the jury, be the voice that Kaylee never had, and hold Casey Anthony accountable. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Defense, you may begin with your opening statements.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Valerie Flores, and on behalf of the defense, I would like to thank you for being here today to fulfill your duty and to seek justice. We know it's no easy task. All of her life, or for most of it, Casey has been hiding her pain, pretending as if nothing is wrong, detaching herself from reality. As you see, as the evidence will show you, something isn't right here. Something isn't right with this 22-year-old girl. However, when it came to parenting, Casey was an excellent mother. She took care of Kaylee. Not one person will come before you today and claim that she was an unfit mother. Not in any way. Every picture you will see of Kaylee was taken by Casey. She adored her child, much like any other mother here. Now, this family that Casey was brought into was a family of secrets. And Casey would have to keep secrets of her own at the age of just 8. This all began when Casey was alone in her room one night, and her father came into her bedroom and began to touch her inappropriately for the first time. Her brother would soon follow suit, and this continuously escalated all throughout her upbringing. This is something that you need to keep in mind, that since age 8, Casey would lie to herself. She would convince herself as if she wasn't affected by what was going on around her, as if she wasn't affected by what was being done to her, as if she wasn't hurting, as if she wasn't dying inside. These things are kept quiet. These ugly secrets will give signs well into adulthood. And it will give you some insight as to why Casey reacted to Kaylee's death the way she did. We are who we are because of who brought us into this world, how we were raised, and what we were exposed to. Now, on the morning of Kaylee's death, June 16, 2008, George Anthony wakes up Casey, yelling, screaming at her, "Where's Kaylee? Where's Kaylee?" They began to search frantically all over the house. Then George Anthony goes outside towards the pool. You'll later hear more about this pool and the easy access that Kaylee had to it. Minutes go by. Casey cannot find Kaylee inside the house. She goes outside to regroup with her father. And she sees the last thing any mother would ever want to see: her daughter's limp body in her father's arms. She begins to hysterically cry. And what does her father do? He yells at her, "Look what you've done! Your mother will never forgive you. You will go to jail for the rest of your life." As she's hysterically crying, her father, realizing that Kaylee was already dead, decides to take matters into his own hands. He decides to help in his own twisted way. And you'll later hear of how he disposed of Kaylee's body. It's at this moment that Casey should have been strong. She should have done the right thing. She should have called 911. Now that is what she's guilty of. Not reporting the drowning of her daughter's death. Instead, partying, drinking, to try to forget the sad truth her reality is. This is a tragedy that George himself confessed to Crystal Holloway, saying it was an accident that snowballed out of control. These are his words. Her death was covered up. Now, why did George do this? Why did he call 911? We've done our absolute best to bring you this information. However, that will go unanswered. Next, I'd like to talk to you about the investigation. This investigation was extremely thorough when it comes to focusing in on Casey. However, this didn't reveal real evidence, just speculation and guessing. We are not here to talk about how inappropriate Casey's actions were following the aftermath of her daughter's death, or how foolish she acted. We're here to find out exactly how Kaylee died. That's the key issue throughout this entire case. That is what the prosecution will fail to prove to you. This key piece of evidence, which is necessary to convict, will not be shown before you. And you may get distracted by your emotions, but you cannot forget. You cannot lose focus that this is a first-degree murder case, a death penalty case. The prosecution wants to take another life. This is a sad tragedy. However, this is not a murder case. This isn't even an aggravated child abuse case. You all are all here because we believe you won't be swayed by your emotions, and you will let the law guide you in making a just decision. You are left with the important decision that could end yet another life. Think about that, please. Thank you for your absolute attention. Thank you.
We will now begin the questioning period. Prosecution, you may call up your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. We would like to call George Anthony to the stand, please.
Will the witness please stand to be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for being here today.
Yes, sir.
Could you please begin with stating your full name for the record and how you're related to the victim?
My name is George Anthony, and I am Kaylee's grandfather.
Thank you. Now take us to the morning of June 16th of 2008. It was a Monday. Can you walk us through that day?
Yes, sir. Well, it was just a typical morning, and Casey was going off to work, and I was saying goodbye to Kaylee. I said, "Jojo, see you later," because she would call me Jojo. And that was the last day that I saw Kaylee alive.
Mr. Anthony, I need to ask you some questions about something else. Have you ever sexually molested your daughter, Casey Anthony?
No, sir.
Have you ever committed any sexually inappropriate behavior with your daughter, Casey Anthony?
No, sir.
Were you present in your home when Kaylee Anthony died?
No, sir, I wasn't. It's actually very sad because I believe if I was there, then we wouldn't be here today.
Did you notice any unusual behavior from Casey following Kaylee's disappearance?
Yes, sir, absolutely. I noticed that she had started going out more, and she was hanging out with her friends, her boyfriend, and she even went to the extent of getting a tattoo.
And when you eventually found out that Kaylee was missing, what was Casey's explanation?
Well, she had said that she was with a nanny named Zanny, but me and my wife later found out that she wasn't even a real person.
As Casey's father, were there ever any red flags in terms of her tendency to lie?
Yes, sir, absolutely. Whenever me and my wife would give her the leniency to go out and hang out with her friends, she would lie about where she was going, who she was hanging out with, stuff like that.
No further questions. Thank you.
Does the defense wish to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Good afternoon, Mr. Anthony.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Mr. Anthony, you know having sex with a child under the age of 12 is life in prison, don't you? You are aware of the possible penalties of child molestation, correct?
Objection. Relevance.
Sustained.
You, of course, would never admit to molesting your own child.
Objection. Argumentative.
Overruled. You can answer the question if you can.
I would never do anything like that to my daughter.
The question is, you would never admit it, would you, sir?
I would never do anything in that way.
Only in that way? Objection. Argumentative. Move to strike.
Sustained.
Mr. Anthony, let me ask you something. Do you consider yourself a loyal man?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
I'm glad you said that. Do you know a woman by the name of Crystal Holloway?
Yes, ma'am, I do, but what does that have to do with anything?
Did you ever have a sexual relationship with Crystal Holloway while still married to your wife, Cindy Anthony?
Objection, Your Honor. The defense is badgering the witness.
Sustained. Move it along, counsel.
No further questions, Your Honor.
The witness is excused. You may step down. Defense. You may call up your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. We would like to call up Crystal Holloway.
Will the witness please stand to be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Hello, Miss Holloway. Now, do you know a man named George Anthony?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you know him?
I met him in a tent while his granddaughter was missing.
Did you develop a relationship with Mr. Anthony?
Yes, ma'am.
Was this a sexual relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Holloway, did there ever come an occasion where you and Mr. Anthony had a heart-to-heart conversation as to what happened to his granddaughter?
Yes, he was sitting on the couch and I was on the floor. He then later proceeded to tell me about an incident that snowballed out of control. I was in shock. I looked up to him and his eyes were filled with tears. I didn't ask him any more questions after that.
Thank you. Was this before Katie was found?
Yes, it was around Thanksgiving time, I believe.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Prosecution, would you like to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Is it true you sold this alleged affair you claim to have with George Anthony to the tabloid newspaper National Enquirer for $4,000?
Yes, but I didn't make it up. I just wanted my story to be known.
Objection, relevance. What does the amount of payment have to do with the case?
Sustain.
The value of payment could corrupt the authenticity of information and distort details.
You may say that, but George Anthony has gained over $20,000. He has more here to gain than anyone else.
Why would she wait until now to claim the affair with George Anthony, knowing how much she stands to gain? The timing is not only suspicious, but it's so obvious that she has something to gain.
Sir, are you applying that?
Order in the court. Prosecution, continue with your witness or dismiss them.
No further questions, Your Honor.
The witness is excused. You may step down. Prosecution, you may call up your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. We would like to call Detective Buer to the stand.
Will the witness please stand to be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you for being here today. Can you please state your name and occupation for the court?
My name is Yuri Melic, and I'm the lead detective in this case.
How and when did you first begin investigating the disappearance of Kaylee Anthony?
On July 16, 2008, Cindy Anthony, the grandmother, reported her missing, and then I was assigned to the case.
When you first spoke to Kaylee, did she seem distraught?
Yes, but she never really gave us any clear or cohesive information to help us in the investigation to find her daughter.
How about her behavior? Is it possible that her answers were inconsistent because she was worried about finding her child?
That's what I initially thought too at first, but throughout the entire investigation, whenever we would ask where Kaylee might be, she never helped us.
And how did you discover that the alleged babysitter was not in fact real?
After a long investigation, we had asked her where Kaylee might be, and she said with a babysitter named Zanny, and she later admitted that she wasn't real. She had made her up.
Now that we've established that Casey has a tendency to lie, did you ever find any links that could link Casey to the murder of her daughter Kaylee?
Yes, we searched the trunk of her car and found a smell of decomposition and traces of chloroform.
Interesting. What about Casey's browsing history?
In her browsing history, we found searches of chloroform and how to make it.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Defense, do you wish to cross-examine?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Hello, Detective. Is there any evidence whatsoever that proves that Casey Anthony had anything to do with the chloroform found in the trunk?
She was the one who made the searches. She was the only one who was home at the time of the searches.
Now you say she made searches. Can you please elaborate on what device made those searches?
The device was the Anthony's family computer.
So what you're saying is she made the searches even though it's a family computer?
I'm telling you, she was the only one who could have been home at the time. As an expert detective, she was the only one who could have made those searches.
So what you're saying is the only thing that's giving you the impression that she's the one who made the searches was that she was the only one home at that time?
I'm telling you, she was the one who made those searches.
I would like all the jury members to take note on what was just said. That the only thing giving law enforcement any type of reason to believe she was the one who made searches was because no one else was at the home. Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
The witness is excused. You may step down. Defense, would you like to call up another witness?
Yes, Your Honor. We would like to call Ricardo Morales to the stand, please.
Will the witness please stand to be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Hello, Ms. Morales. Thank you for being here today. Can you please state your relationship with Casey Anthony?
Casey Anthony is my ex-girlfriend.
And how long were you and Casey together for?
Me and Casey were together for about 2 months, from February to April of 2008.
How close would you say you and Casey were?
Me and Casey were extremely close. She would come over probably about 5 times a week and would always spend the night and bring Kaylee with her. And, you know, I'd be on one side of the bed, Casey on the other, and Kaylee on the other side of the bed, and we would just spend a lot of time together.
You weren't ever intimate with Casey while Kaylee was in the bed, right?
No, never.
And when was the last time Casey and Kaylee stayed over?
The last time that Casey and Kaylee stayed over was in June of 2008, about 2 months after we broke up. But that was also the last time that I ever saw Kaylee.
Would you say Casey was a good mother to Kaylee?
I would say that Casey was a great mother. You know, she would always bring her over to my house and everything. And she loved her very much.
Now, Mr. Morales, I would like to show you a photo posted to your MySpace page saying, "Win her over with chloroform." Can you please explain this photo you posted?
You know, everybody makes bad jokes in life, and when I posted that at the time, I wasn't taking it serious, and I didn't realize the impact that it could have, and I just meant for it to be a joke.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Prosecution, do you wish to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Following your breakup with Casey Anthony, you all remained friends, correct?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
Now, the day before Kaylee was reported missing, July 15, 2008, she picked you up from the airport, right?
Yes, ma'am.
How was her demeanor that day?
Everything seemed fine about her. It was just the usual Casey that I knew.
During your relationship, did Casey ever mention a babysitter?
Yes, she mentioned a babysitter named Zanny.
And you're now aware that that babysitter never existed, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So where would Kaylee go while the babysitter was supposedly sitting this whole time?
I couldn't answer that question for you, ma'am. I don't know the answer.
Wow. Okay. Now, how would you describe Casey's behavior during the search for Kaylee?
I honestly didn't even know that there was a search for Kaylee. Nothing seemed off about Casey at all, so nothing even told me that there was a search.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
The witness is excused. You may step down. Prosecution, please call out your next witness.
Your Honor, we call Simon Birch to the stand.
Will the witness please stand to be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And sir, please state your name for the record and why you're here today.
My name is Simon Birch, and I'm the operations manager for the towing company which towed Mr. George Anthony's vehicle.
And it was George Anthony who came to pick up this white 1998 Pontiac Sunfire, right?
Yes, with his wife.
Can you describe what happened when George Anthony came to the tow yard?
Well, he was a little confused because that vehicle was Casey's only mode of transportation, so he had no clue I was just left on the side of the road.
And what happened when you opened the trunk of the car?
Well, I had told him about a strong odor I smelled coming from the vehicle because we always take visual inventory of things in vehicles we tow for liability purposes. We've even found multiple animals in vehicles before, so we check just in case of things like that. We're not permitted to search the vehicle until it's in our possession for 3 days. So once Mr. Anthony arrived, we opened the trunk and we were both immediately hit with an odor that we both recognized.
What odor did you believe this to be?
I believed it to be the smell of human decomposition. If I had to describe it, I'd say it smelled like old rotten food.
How did you come to the feeling that it did in fact smell of human decomposition?
Well, I've encountered vehicles with bodies before in maybe 6 or 7 occasions, and I would say that odor was very reminiscent of it.
And what happened after you all reacted to the foul odor coming from the car?
Well, Mrs. Anthony started having a nervous breakdown. She was ranting about how her granddaughter was missing and how they could not get in contact with their daughter.
Thank you. No further questions.
Defense, do you wish to cross-examine?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Hello, Mr. Birch. You earlier stated that you examined Casey Anthony's car, correct?
I stated that I took visual inventory and documented it.
When you first noticed the smell coming from the car, what did it remind you of?
It reminded me of the smell of human decomposition. It was a very strong and unpleasant odor.
Mr. Birch, you have years of experience as a towing company. Is it possible that that smell could have come from something other than a dead body?
Well, yes, of course, but having experience with that same smell on multiple occasions, I would say it was very similar to a dead body.
So again, it is your opinion that it smelled like a decomposing body. Could it have been maybe the trash that was inside the trunk that the prosecution didn't bring up whatsoever? That was also in her trunk?
I mean, I guess, but that smell was just way too strong.
No further questions.
The witness is excused. You may step down. Defense, you may call up your next witness.
Your Honor, we call Ms. Cindy Anthony.
Will the witness please stand to be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Please state your name for the record.
Cindy Anthony.
Now, do you recall in March 2008, were you making searches for chloroform?
I started looking into chlorophyll. My small Jerky was extremely tired all the time. She leaked the bamboo leaves out in the backyard. So I started to look up how that could make her sleepy, and that prompted me to look up chloroform.
I don't understand how you get those two mixed up.
I'm not getting them mixed up. There's some bacteria associated with chloroform production. Some species of algae produce it, for instance.
So you never specifically looked for chloroform?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Prosecution, how do you respond?
We'd like to cross-examine.
You may proceed.
Miss Anthony, it is your testimony that you were home that day in March, even though your work records reflect something differently.
It's possible.
Well, Cindy, were or weren't you? Were you home March 28th at 2:16 p.m. and 2:29 p.m. when those searches were made?
If those computer entries were made, then I made them.
Miss Anthony, you are aware that the penalty for perjury is jail time.
I know what perjury is. I'm not stupid.
Order, Miss Anthony. Watch your demeanor.
Miss Anthony, you had made the initial 911 phone call about your granddaughter missing. Did you not?
Yes.
When you had called 911, you told the dispatcher that your daughter, Casey Anthony, admitted to you that your granddaughter, Katie Anthony, was missing for about a month. And she decided to go looking for her on her own. You even stated that the car had smelled like a decomposing body when you had been in the car. Is that right?
Yes, Casey did admit to me that Kaylee had been missing for 31 days and that her nanny had taken her.
I can only imagine how hard that phone call was for you. Your Honor, we would like to play the initial 911 phone call for the jury to listen to.
I will allow it.
I'm calling out because the deputy sheriff said I found out my granddaughter has been taken. She has been missing for a month. Finally admitted that she's been missing. Okay, what number now? Okay, what is the address that you're calling from? 4937 Home Spring Drive. We're talking about a 3-year-old little girl. 4937 what? Hope Spring. HOPESPRING. 12 Orlando. Oh my God, I finally admitted that the baby's in the store. I need to find her. Your daughter admitted that the baby is where? The babysitter took her months ago that my daughter's been looking for. I told you my daughter was missing for a month. I just found her today, but I can't find my granddaughter. She just admitted to me that she's been trying to find her herself. There's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it's not like this. I just thought it was in a car. Okay, what is the 3-year-old's name? Kaylee. Kaylee. Anthony.
As you heard, ladies and gentlemen, you can hear the panic and hurt in Miss Cindy Anthony's voice. It's truly so hard to listen to. Now we would like to play the second clip from the same phone call made once Kaylee had taken over the phone. You can hear that she was clearly not in the same state. Ask yourself, as you listen, how can a mother be so calm knowing that her baby was missing for 31 days?
Hey, there's they want to talk to you. Answer the question. Hello? Hello? Yes. Hi. Well, can you tell me what's going on a little bit? I'm sorry? Can you tell me a little bit what's going on? My daughter's been missing for the last 31 days. And you know who has her? I know who has her. I tried to contact her. I actually received a phone call today. Now from a number that is no longer in service. I did get to speak to my daughter for about a minute. Okay, did you guys go and report a vehicle stolen? Yes, my mom did. Okay, so is the vehicle stolen too? No, this is my vehicle. What vehicle was stolen? It's a 98 Pontiac Sunfire. Okay, I have deputies on the way to you right now for that. So now you're free to be a girl. I was going to say Kaylee Anthony. Yes. My female. Yes, white female. 3 years old, 8/9/2005, the date of birth. Yes. And you last saw her a month ago? 31 days. For 31 days. Who has her? Do you have a name? Her name is Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez. Who is that? Babysitter? She's been my nanny for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. So why are you calling now? Why didn't you call 31 days ago? I've been looking for her and have gone through other resources to try to find her, which was stupid. Okay. Can you give me the name of the nanny again? Like, spell it out for me? Zenaida, Zenaida. Last name? Fernandez. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
The witness is excused. You may step down, Ms. Anthony. State, what is your next move?
Your Honor, we have new picture evidence to present to the court.
What exactly is the purpose of this demonstration?
The issue is whether the duct tape was in fact the cause of death. The picture superimposition will show that a single piece of duct tape, and the evidence will prove that there were 3, was sufficient enough to cover the nose and mouth of Kaylee Marie Anthony, thus ending her life. This is the evidence that the duct tape was in fact the murder weapon.
Defense, how do you respond?
Your Honor, we've been hearing a lot of testimony today about chloroform as the state's theory as to what caused this child's death. Then today it's duct tape, their position being, let's throw everything against the wall and see what sticks. This disgusting superimposition is nothing but a fantasy intended to appeal to the jury's emotions.
State, how do you respond?
Your Honor, the evidence will demonstrate the duct tape's ability to cover Kaylee's nose and mouth.
The court will allow its admission in evidence. You may proceed.
Your Honor, we would like to call to the stand Michelle Warren.
Will the witness please stand to be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Can you please state your name and position for the court?
My name is Michelle Warren. I'm an associate professor of anthropology at the University of Florida.
Dr. Warren, could you tell us how you created this picture superimposition?
Yes, I took a photo of the descent and a photo of the skull and scaled them to the same size using anatomical landmarks like the bottom of the teeth's edge, ocular orbits, the top of the skull, and the contour of the head. Once they were aligned, I was able to superimpose an image of the duct tape and using the same metric scale and adjust them to the same size. That allowed us to overlay the duct tape on the soft tissue.
Would a single piece of duct tape that we see in the picture be sufficient to prevent breathing?
Yes, when we found Kaylee's skull, there was a piece of duct tape on the mouth of the skull. Forensically, this suggests that the duct tape was used to cover the mouth and nose in order to induce suffocation.
In your expert opinion, is it common to use duct tape when disposing of a body?
No, it's not common. Duct tape is used in instances for restraint or in order to prevent breathing.
Thank you. No further questions.
Defense, Do you wish to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Ms. Warren, you're not in any way testifying that is how she died. Is that correct?
No, if we knew exactly what happened to Kaylee, there would be no trial.
So then this is a form of speculation. Since you don't know, in fact, you can't know, correct?
No, sir. It's my professional opinion.
Are you aware that a portion of the duct tape was found 9 feet away from the skull?
I'm aware that when authorities arrived to the scene, they removed a piece of duct tape from Kaylee's skull before admitting it into evidence.
So there's no way to prove that the duct tape is what killed her and it was on her face.
There were traces of adhesive on Kaylee's skull, which led me to conclude that duct tape was the cause of death.
No further questions, Your Honor.
The witness is excused. You may step down. Defense, do you have another witness?
Yes, Your Honor. We would like to call Roy Cron to the stand, please.
Will the witness please stand to be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Hello, sir. Please state your name and occupation for the court.
My name is Roy Kronk, and I work for the city of Orange County as a meter reader.
Okay, Mr. Cron, please tell us why you're here and what you found.
I am here because I am the one who found the remains of Katie Anthony.
And what were you doing in the wooded area on that day?
It was just a normal day. I had finished one of my jobs and was on to the next when I really needed to use the restroom. And I knew there was a wooded area coming up ahead, so I decided to stop so I could relieve myself.
And what do you mean by relieve yourself?
I had to urinate.
And what did you see during that time?
I saw what appeared to be a bag of trash. I was confused at first because I remember seeing that same bag 3 or 4 months before. So I got curious and I poked at it with a stick, to which what I saw was terrifying. I saw a white rounded skull. So I immediately called 911 and reported it.
So you say you saw the bag 3-4 months prior to that day, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you say you poked it with a stick. So you contaminated the crime scene.
Yes, but I didn't know what I was doing at the time.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Prosecution, do you wish to cross-examine the witness?
No, Your Honor.
The witness is excused. Prosecution, you may call up your next witness.
Your Honor, we would like to call Mallory Williams to the stand, please.
Will the witness please stand to be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Hello, ma'am. Thank you for being here today. Can you please state your name, occupation, and how you know Casey Anthony?
My name is Mallory Williams, and I'm a tattoo artist. I know Casey Anthony because she came into my shop for a tattoo in July of 2008.
What tattoo did she get, and what does it mean?
She got the phrase Bella Vita on her left shoulder blade, which means a beautiful life in Italian. Her demeanor was normal. She didn't seem upset or distressed. She seemed pretty happy for the most part.
Did she mention any reason why she wanted to get that tattoo?
She mentioned her current boyfriend was in New York at the time watching a baseball game, and she was in a good place in her life. She said good things were happening that she was excited about, and she wanted something to remind her of what a beautiful life she had. She didn't say much after that.
How long did it take you for you to finish the tattoo?
About 30 minutes.
Did she talk about Kaylee at all while she was in your shop?
The only thing she mentioned about Kaylee was that she was with a nanny. Other than that, she mostly sat on her phone while I tattooed her.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, as you can see, Miss Anthony had seemed happy while getting her tattoo. And according to Miss Williams, if she did in fact get that tattoo on July 2nd, that means it would have been day 17. 17 days of her daughter missing, and she chose to get a tattoo that said, "A beautiful life." Thank you, Your Honor. That'll be all.
Will the defense wish to cross-examine the witness?
No, Your Honor.
Well, the witness is excused. You may step down. Defense, do you have any more live witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. We would like to call Sergeant Lana Perez to the stand, please.
Will the witness please stand to be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Can you please state your name for the record?
My name is Sergeant Lana Perez. I'm the head of computer forensics for the Orange County Sheriff Department.
Sergeant Perez, after the keyword chloroform was found on the Anthony home computer, you utilized 2 software programs to recover the search history. Did you not?
Yes, I did.
Do you recognize the computer screenshots on the projector?
Yes, that's my net analysis report.
And how many times does it show the chloroform site was visited?
1.
And now I'd like to show you the only report that the prosecution entered into evidence. Your second report, looking at the same website at the same time and date, that report says the site was visited how many times?
84.
And that was the same website at the same time and date?
Yes, that's correct.
Well, then there must be some kind of mistake on the prosecution, because according to them, someone did a search for chloroform 84 times.
Like I said, there was only 1 entry search for chloroform, not 84.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
How does the state respond?
No questions, Your Honor.
The witness is excused. You may step down. Prosecution, do you have any more witnesses?
No, Your Honor. The state rests at this time.
Defense, do you have any more witnesses?
Yes, sir, Your Honor. We call to the stand George Anthony.
Will the witness please stand to be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Now, sir, in late January 2009, you attempted to commit suicide. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Even though suicide note.
Yes, sir.
You expressed a lot of guilt in that note, didn't you?
Objection. The best evidence of the document is the document itself.
Sustained.
I'll withdraw the question. So let me get this straight. Within a week of your suicide attempt, you were back making media appearances?
I don't remember what I did, sir.
Do you recall being on 48 Hours?
Yes, sir, I do.
Do you recall making $20,000 on that appearance?
You know, sir, I've done everything I could to answer these questions to the best of my ability and bring awareness to what has happened to Kaylee. I'm sorry, but I've been trying.
Did you make an appearance on the early show?
I don't know.
All these media appearances stopped when the allegations of abuse came out.
I believe that was done through you, sir.
The attempted suicide. That was alcohol and pills, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
The alcohol was beer. The pills were blood pressure medication, right?
Yes, sir, I had a lot of different types of medication alongside with drinking a lot of beer.
And subsequent to that, you had 2 warrants issued on your household. 2 warrants where officers went through a lot of your things, your personal things.
Sir,
is that right?
I'm trying not to get angry here, and you're making me angry.
Specifically your things associated with all of your things, nothing about Casey, is that right?
I don't know, I wasn't there.
Because you're doing the Larry King show?
Objection. Not relevant to the case.
Sustained.
Mr. Anthony, did you ever throw a graduation party for Miss Casey Anthony?
Yes, sir, I did.
But you knew she wasn't going to graduate, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct, but not until the day before.
So when you say you helped Casey with a lie?
No, sir. What happened was the counselor had emailed my wife saying that Casey did not receive enough credits to graduate. But remind you, the day before graduation.
So I just want to clarify that you knew Casey was lying. You knew she wasn't going to graduate, and you still went for the party and helped spread her lies about graduating. What if somebody helped her lie about, George?
Objection, Your Honor. Argumentative.
Sustained.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Does the state have a response?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Six weeks after Kaylee's remains were found, you traveled to Daytona Beach, to a hotel where you intended to take your life.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Why did you decide to end your life?
Well, I didn't want to be in this world anymore. I couldn't hold my little Kaylee anymore. And I just want to tell her I'm sorry.
Sorry for what, George?
Sorry that I couldn't protect her from whoever did this to her.
No further questions, Your Honor.
You are excused, Mr. Anthony. Counsel, will the defendant be called up to the stand?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Anthony, is it your decision not to testify made freely or voluntarily?
Yes, Your Honor.
Does the prosecution have any more witnesses?
No, Your Honor. The state rests at this time.
Does the defense have any more witnesses?
No, Your Honor. The defense rests this time.
Both the prosecution and the defense have now rested their cases. The attorneys will now present their final arguments. Please remember what the attorneys say is not evidence. However, do listen closely. They're intended to aid you in understanding this case. Prosecution, you may begin with your closing statements.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please remember, the evidence presented in this case is not a matter of speculation, but of cold, hard facts. We have heard the testimonies of experts, the undeniable reality of what happened to Casey Anthony, and a missing child's life. What we do know for certain is that Kaylee Marie Anthony was a beautiful, innocent little girl who never got to live the life that she deserved. And what we do know for certain is that the person who was supposed to be her protector, her mother, is the same person responsible for her death. From the very beginning of this case, Casey Anthony has lied to law enforcement, to her family, and to you, the public. She has lied about what Casey was, the events surrounding her disappearance. She even went as far as to accusing strangers for what happened to her daughter. But the truth, as we have seen, is much darker. Kaylee's body was found just a short distance away from her family's home. In a plastic bag, discarded like trash. The prosecution has presented a clear timeline of events. The duct tape found on Kaylee's mouth, the smell of death that lingered inside of it. We have shown you the internet searches on Casey's computer and the searches for how to make chloroform and how to make a body disappear. But let's please not forget the final chilling phone call Casey had made to her mother as she uttered the words, "I don't know where she is." Remember, ladies and gentlemen, that we are focused on facts leading up to, before, and after Kaylee's disappearance. The defense is more focused on theory, on how Kaylee had drowned. They're not necessarily focused on the action leading to Casey, and the actions that she had made before, during, and after her daughter's disappearance. They're trying to make her actions seem justified. They want to make George Anthony look like the bad guy. But where's the evidence? Where's the proof? If Casey was really such a good mother, why did it take so long for her to be concerned about where her daughter was? Ladies and gentlemen, the defense will try to say that Casey did not make the 911 phone call because she was grieving, but she was making up all of these lies about trying to find her daughter when she allegedly was taken by the nanny. We understand that not everybody will grieve in the same way, but a child that has been abducted by a stranger, this is the behavior of a person who knew exactly what happened to her daughter. And she had chose to conceal it. Then once Casey was finally confronted, she chose to spin a web of lies, blaming anybody and everybody but herself. That is 31 days. Kaylee was missing before her grandmother had to report her poor granddaughter missing. 31 days where Casey was out partying. 31 days that Casey was living her life like normal. 31 days that Casey should have been looking for her daughter. She has tried to manipulate your emotions with outlandish lies and fabricated stories. But the truth has been in front of you this whole time. If Casey did in fact drown, why was there duct tape adhesion found on her skull? The defense completely neglects the key pieces of factual evidence. The defense is neglecting that part, which is one of the only pieces of evidence that we have. The defense claims our case is speculated, yet what evidence do they have to support their theories of drowning? Where's the witnesses? The testimonies? You have seen the evidence. You have heard the testimonies. You have seen the character that the defendant displays in front of you. You know, beyond any reasonable doubt, that Casey Anthony is guilty for the murder of Kaylee Anthony. I ask you to hold her accountable for her actions and the life that she has taken, for the future that she stole from an innocent child, Kaylee Anthony. Kaylee Anthony deserves justice, and so does every child who's ever trusted their parent, and every mother who has ever loved their child. The verdict is in your hands. Don't let this case be remembered for its complexity, but for the cold, hard fact that Kaylee Anthony was murdered by the one person who was supposed to protect her. Casey Anthony. Find the defendant guilty. Thank you.
Defense, you may begin with your closing statement.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I imagine that as you sit here today, you find yourself filled with questions that remain unanswered throughout this trial. This is because the state has been unable to provide you with clear, concrete evidence, which is necessary to convict. The truth is, the prosecution has failed to provide a reasonable doubt that a crime was committed. It is entirely reasonable to believe that little Kaylee drowned in the family pool was a tragic incident rather than a crime. And while the prosecution has tried to convince you otherwise, they have not been able to disprove this possibility. Their responsibility in this trial is to rebut every reasonable doubt of innocence. And they have not been able to disprove this. Instead of focusing on facts, they have thrown out multiple theories hoping that something will stick. But speculation does not equal justice. And no theory, no matter how well thought out, can fill the void left behind lack of evidence. I will not stand here before you today and defend every action Casey Anthony took in the aftermath of her daughter's death. It is clear her behavior was far from ideal, and nobody's here to argue that. But we must remember that reacting poorly or making bad decisions from grief does not equal to murder, and it certainly doesn't prove the intention behind her actions. And the prosecution has failed to prove beyond simple doubt that she murdered her daughter. The prosecution makes claims of evidence that hasn't been presented to you, and this cannot be used against Casey. We're left to wonder why. If Kaylee had indeed drowned in the Anthony family pool, did George not take immediate action to ensure that Kaylee was notified to the authorities? Did the Anthony family behavior spiral into secrecy, deception, and denial? Could George have been attempting to cover up what truly happened so he could protect himself or his family from shame? The prosecution has chosen to make Casey Anthony Anthony the sole focus of this case. But when we consider all the evidence, all the potential theories, we see that George Anthony could just be as responsible, if not more so, for the events surrounding Kaylee's death. In conclusion, the prosecution has failed to provide you with concrete evidence. They have failed to definitively prove that a murder occurred. Instead, they have speculated, they have made assumptions, and they have tried to convince you otherwise to accept their theory. But we cannot convict based on mere speculation. We must convict based on facts, and there are no facts here that prove Casey Anthony is guilty of murder. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in days, weeks, months, even years from now, you're going to be asked, why you found Casey Anthony not guilty? And your response will be, you're going to prove to me how she died. Thank you, Your Honor.
Members of the jury, you have heard all of the testimony concerning this case. It is now up to you to determine the facts. You and you alone are the judges of the fact. Once you decide what facts the evidence proves, you then must apply the laws I give it to you, to the facts and as do you find them. The court will be on recess until the jury has deliberated and when they reached a verdict.
All rise.
You may be seated.
All rise.
Please be seated. Does the state recognize the presence of the jury?
We do, Your Honor.
And does the defense?
We do, Your Honor.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, have you reached a verdict?
Yes, we have.
Would you hand the verdict form to the deputy, please? Will the defendant please rise along with the counsel? Will the jury please read the verdict?
Yes, Your Honor. In the Circuit Court, the 9th Judicial Circuit in the 4th Orange County, Florida, State of Florida versus Casey Marie Anthony, as the case 2-0-08 CF 15-6-06 as to the charge of first-degree murder, verdict as to count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty. So say we all. As to the charge of aggravated child abuse, verdict as to count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty. So we say we all. As to the charge of aggravated manslaughter of a child, verdict as to count. We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty. So say we all. As to the charges 4, 5, 6, and 7 of providing false information to a law enforcement officer, verdict as to count 4. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of providing false information to a law enforcement officer as charged in the indictment. So say we all.
Thank you, ma'am. You may be seated. Ms. Casey Marie Anthony, a jury of your peers have found you not guilty as to the charge contained in count 1 for murder in the first degree. At this time, I would judge you to be not guilty. As to count 2, the crime of aggravated child abuse, a jury of your peers have found you guilty. The court will adjudge you to be guilty of the crime contained in count 2. As to count 3, aggravated manslaughter of a child, a jury of your peers have found you not guilty. As to counts 4, 5, 6, and 7, providing false information to law enforcement officers, I would adjudge you to be guilty of those counts and order that you be fingerprinted in open court at this time. Court is adjourned. Done.